There's a number of ways to train. But I mean, there's an infinite number of ways to build muscle and lose fat. And that's what I love about training, right? I love crafting programs in different ways to work out, to take care of the boredom. A lot of people don't like coming in and doing, the 3 sets, rest 3 minutes type of deal. They want to, more, movement and stuff. So I've incorporated things like cardio acceleration, which is you do your weightlifting and then you do a minute of cardio in between. Then you go right back to the weightlifting set instead of just sitting around. So that's one concept, is incorporating your cardio into your training. But like I said, there's so many ways to, build muscle and lose fat at the same time. In fact, that's what, all my programs are really about. It's obviously I have certain ones that are more geared for strength, more geared for muscle mass, more geared for fat loss. But overall, how you train, doesn't really matter too much as long as you're training with intensity. The fat loss portion, right? And even the muscle building is going to come from your diet. That's really where your fine tuning comes in, whether you're looking for fat loss or muscle building. Okay. And so if you want to do both, right? And even people who want to do both, they kind of want to do both, but there's usually one that they want to maximize, right? If guy's really overweight, he's probably going to want to really focus on the fat loss, but he still wants to gain muscle. And if he doesn't have much body fat, right, then he's probably going to want to focus on building the muscle, but he still wants to lose body fat, right? And so, like I said, you're training and I can show this with my challenges. When I do 3 challenges every year. They're, training and transformation challenges. And it's the person who makes the best transformation. And I do a New Year's one, I do a summer shred one, and I do a holiday one. And I change up what workout it is all the time. Okay. It's not the same workout. It's always a different workout, but the diet and the cardio are there to maximize if they want the fat loss, right? I give them choices. So the program is, I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, but as long as you're training smartly, okay? Like you're using progressive overload, right? You're maybe using some intensity techniques depending on your training experience. So as long as you're, training with a smart program, like I said, and it's periodized so that you're not doing the same, that I think that the biggest problem with weightlifting is everybody falls into that 8 to 10 rep category. And then they love the bench press, they love the curls, they love this exercise, that exercise. So their program becomes all the exercises that they love to do, right? I've had clients in the past that hate curls, and every arm day, they're just like, oh my God, do I have to do this? But on squat day, they love squats, or on bench press day, they love doing the bench press. So they don't want to do those exercises that they don't like, and they kind of only want to do the ones that they like. I think we see this a lot with people who don't have a trainer. And you can see these guys in the gym, they've been in there for 10 years and they haven't really made any progress in 10 years either, because they're doing the same exact thing, the exercises they like, the same rep range. And so as long as you're changing it up, and by changing it up, I don't mean every workout needs to be different. I mean, you follow a program for 4 to 6 weeks. And then after those 4 to 6 weeks, you gravitate towards a different program that uses different concepts in training and different styles of training. And then when that one's over in 6 to 8 weeks or so, you move on to a different one. And so I think the real key here for maximizing fat loss and growth, and I'm talking over the long term here, right? We're not talking about, I want to go to the Bahamas and I want to look good on the beach, or I'm getting married and I want to look good in 6 weeks. I mean, over the long haul, right? It's changing up your routine, right? And again, like I said, it's not essential whether you're doing 10 to 12 reps, whether you're doing 6 to 8 reps, whether you're doing 15 to 20 reps. What really matters is that you're using those rep ranges either changing them up within the program that you're doing, or changing them up by changing your program. Okay. So change, I think, is the number one thing. But a lot of people, like you said, if they're focused on fat loss, they think that their weightlifting program has to be a fat loss focused weightlifting program. And we can talk about, shorter rest periods might burn more fat. Using supersets might increase calorie burn, which would, compound sets use more muscle, so you burn more energy. Like, sure, we could talk about things you could do when you're lifting to burn more fat, if you will. But at the end of the day, the weightlifting should really be about the weightlifting, right? And the fat loss comes, obviously the weightlifting helps with the fat loss because you are burning calories. You're burning calories the rest of the day. But what you did in the gym has a small, and again, as long as you're training intensely, right, and properly, whether you're doing supersets or regular sets or drop sets, is going to make a small difference in your fat loss. But the diet, how you're eating, right, what you're doing with your diet, and if you're doing cardio as well to burn more calories, is where the fat loss portion is going to come from. So I'd say the biggest mistake that people make is thinking that they need to change their weightlifting program into some magical fat loss weightlifting program, which isn't the case, because use the weightlifting to build your strength and your muscle mass. And again, you're going to lose fat regardless of if you're resting 3 minutes or 1 minute. You're going to lose fat from the weightlifting, right? You're increasing metabolism during the workout for the rest of the day. You're going to lose fat from that alone, but then you maximize that response that you get regardless of which way you're training, with your diet and then with cardio.
Yeah, Jim, that's great, man. I think, what you're speaking to there is that kind of classic saying that everybody always says, right? Abs are kind of built in the gym and then they're revealed in the kitchen. So many people believe that, that if they're trying to lose weight, they got to change the type of training. It's like, no, you go and you train hard, you train with intensity. So I guess there's a really good, metric for people to kind of understand, because that word gets thrown around a lot, right? Intensity, you got to train intense. But if you look at gyms, most people are training at maybe a 3 on a level of 10. So how can somebody even gauge if they are actually training with real intensity? What's kind of a metric to gauge our level of intensity?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Do you feel fatigued at the end of the workout? I mean, you don't have to be on the floor, right? Are you sweating? Do you feel like you really tested yourself? And again, if you're a power lifter, fine, go in and rest 5 to 6 minutes in between sets. You're not going to walk out of the gym feeling like you're wiped, but you're going to feel accomplished because you lifted some, seriously heavy weight. So your nervous system might feel the fatigue. Again, like that's a tough question to answer, without like an RPE scale. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're putting in the most intense work you've ever done, or, none on the scale? Where do you fall? And so it's really subjective. Like, how did you feel after that workout? Did it feel like you were somewhere between putting in all your effort or at least close to it? Then good workout, goal accomplished. Did you walk out and feel like, I lifted some weight?
I'd say most people probably have a level or two that they could go a little bit harder on. And I think that's where, having a structured program, having a trainer, even a training partner can help you kind of get that out of that, kind of bring in some, absolutely. I mean, I've made my greatest, progress in my competitive career when I was training with somebody that was slightly better than me in a couple things. Maybe they're a little bit stronger, but I had a little bit more endurance in some movements, or they were better in legs and I was better on back, and you kind of begin to compete and kind of work with each other. Yeah. You said that you've had clients that didn't like to do a bicep curl. I would only imagine somebody that's never felt a real good bicep pump would say something like that, right?
Well, yeah, I bring that. That's why I bring that up. I'm just like, what?
Bro,
but
you've never had a real pump, man. You need to go watch Arnold in pumping iron, right?